friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today it is time to start talking about the books that I want to read in the month of February. Now, if you saw my January TBR, you will know that I'm doing things a little bit differently this year, where I'm giving myself a huge pile of books to choose from for the month, and then we'll kind of see where things go as the month goes on. I want to give myself freedom to mood read, but I also have a couple goals that I'm working towards along the way, maybe a buddy read here or there, things like that. It worked really well in January. I read 12 books, which is pretty high for what my normal is. And I loved having the freedom to kind of choose throughout the month. So I'm going to be doing that again in this TBR. I'll start with the books that I'm reading with other people in different forms. Then I have a couple books that are from my recommendations from you that you guys gave me at the beginning of the year. I have my pile of library books, and I also have a pile of books that I've chosen out specifically for the month of February. So let's just jump right in. The first book that I want to talk about is for my Goodreads read-along book club that I run on Goodreads, which is where we just kind of read a book together, share our thoughts along the way, a little bit of discussion happens, but usually it's just a group of people reading the same book at the same time. There are no deadlines. I split it up so that you shouldn't be spoiled along the way. It's just a great way to see what other people are thinking about the books that you're reading. And for February, we're going to be reading, finally, The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I'm so excited to read this book. I feel like February is a really good time to read it. In this story, the majority of the story happens in Alaska in the winter time. And I feel like February is kind of a bleak end of winter. You're ready for winter to be over, at least if you live in the northern hemisphere. For those of you watching in the southern hemisphere, I know you're hot and dying and it's summer, but I just feel like winter is a great time to read this story. So from what I understand, this is kind of a family drama. The husband of this family, I think it takes place in the 70s. Yes, it does. It takes place in the 70s. The father is a Vietnam War veteran, and I think it has some PTSD from the war. Takes his family, his wife and his daughter, and moves them to Alaska, thinking a fresh start would be just what they need. Things are going pretty well until winter hits, and the isolation and darkness and all of the things that an Alaskan winter means doesn't bode so well for this family. I know that I love Kristin Hannah's storytelling, and I just haven't heard really anything bad about this one, and I'm really, really excited to read it. So if you haven't yet picked up this book either, join in the Goodreads read-along. The link is down in the description box below. I also have the third book in the Betsy Tacy series, Betsy and Tacy Go Over the Big Hill. I am reading this with 3 booktubers who are doing a year-long Betsy Tacy read-along. I don't have book 4, but February is book 3 and book 4. These are super short, kind of early reader to middle grade books at this point. I think throughout the series, Betsy and Tacy get older and older, and the books become more and more in-depth and complex. But I really enjoyed reading books 1 and 2 in January and look forward to continuing in that read-along. I also have a buddy read that I'll be doing with Karen from Run Right Reads, which I'm really excited because I don't know that we've ever done a buddy read together, but I've been following her channel for a long time, and she's been following me, and we've kind of skirted around the edges of friendship here on BookTube, and I'm excited to encourage that and talk to her more by reading Girl at War by Sarah Novick. This is a historical fiction set in the 1990s about the Yugoslavian Civil War, and I think it's also a coming-of-age story. This is Sarah Novick's debut novel, and I'm really excited to read this. I have been to Bosnia, which is one of the countries that has come out of that Yugoslavian Civil War. I love that I was alive when this happened, and I know people who live there and experienced some of that war firsthand. So I'm really excited to read this, and I think it'll be a great one to read along with Karen. So I have that, and that's it for the buddy reads for the month. Next, I have 2 books that are on my recommendations list that you guys recommended to me. And because it's African American History Month in February, I thought these would be great picks to read during the month of February. I have Kindred by Octavia Butler. This was on my January piles. I just didn't get to it. And I kind of purposely pushed it off so that I can read it during February. I've heard really good things about Kindred. I don't really know too much about the plot itself, but I'm really excited to read this one. I also have Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad, and this one is a historical fiction that revolves around the Underground Railroad and slavery in the South and North during Civil War times, but also in this one it takes like a twist on things where the Underground Railroad is an actual railroad. I have heard some mixed reviews about this one. I think people were a little bit underwhelmed, or it didn't quite meet their expectations, but I'm looking forward to seeing what I think. I also pulled out a nonfiction that I think would be great for this month as well, and that is Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me. This is a real short little nonfiction that I think would be great for Black History Month. Next, I have my pile of books. Each month, I'm going to choose a word and find 5 or so books from my shelves that have that word in it. And so, of course, because February is the month with Valentine's Day, I chose the word love and just picked out some books that have the word love in them. And I'm not sure I'll get to all of these, but I feel like when I need something light and fluffy, these all qualify. So I have The Things We Do for Love by Kristin Hannah. This might be kind of at the bottom of the pile since I am already reading a Kristin Hannah with The Great Alone. I have a Christian fiction called A Love Surrendered by Julie Lessman. I don't really know much about any of these plot lines, so I'm not going to share that, just what they are. If I end up picking them up and reading them, I'll let you know at the end of the month. I have Love Walked In by Marissa de los Santos, and I have heard some good things about this. I believe this has to do with foster care or adoption in some form. Love Starts with L by Rachel Houck. She is a Christian fiction author that I really enjoy. And Jennifer E. Smith's The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. Those just are all kind of romance-centric. Actually, Love Walked In I don't think is romance, but all having the word love in the title. We'll see if I pick up any of those. Each month, I also want to read at least one book from these choices right behind me. These are my series that I'm in the middle of that I own. So I would like to at least read one of those. So I'll kind of move so that you can see them, but also you can watch my video of the series that I'm in the middle of, and hopefully one or two of those will get read during the month of February. And finally, I have my pile that I have currently checked out from the library. Let me just show you what they are. So I have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I'm really excited to read this. This one was all over Instagram towards summertime or at the end of summer. And I missed the hype train, and I'm really excited to read this. I've heard nothing bad about it. I think this takes place in the South. It's kind of a coming of age story. A lot of beautiful nature writing is in here as well. Historical fiction a little bit. 1969. I don't really know much about it other than almost everybody I've heard talk about it has raved and absolutely loved it. So it's been on my radar for quite a while. I also have The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan, and this one deals with grief. I think there's a teenage girl whose mother passes away, and she believes that the spirit of her mother is in this bird. I've heard this is going to be a tearjerker, and I love reading books that deal with grief as one of the main themes, so I'm really looking forward to this one. It is a bit of a chunker, but it is also YA, so it shouldn't take too long. I have the next book in the Armand Gamache mystery series by Louise Penny, and it's called The Cruelest Month. And I feel like February is a good month to read this because it's still winter and you just want winter to be over. You're ready for spring, so it's kind of cruel in that way. And as a single person, Valentine's Day kind of stinks sometimes. So cruel February. Hopefully I'll get to this mystery this month. I have a World War II historical fiction that I've seen just about everywhere, The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. And this one is actually much shorter than I imagined. But this one is about a Jewish man who, so I believe it has a little bit of romance. And it's also about this Jewish man who is, the job that he's given is to tattoo their numbers onto their arms. I know that this one will be a tearjerker, and I will have tissues ready for sure. I have Harry's Trees by John Cohen. I heard John Cohen on Anne Bogle's Modern Mrs. Darcy podcast, and he talked about this book. I think it has a little bit of magical realism, but this is another one that deals with a man who is dealing with grief. So grief is another theme in this one. Man, I picked some sad books this month. Good thing I have all those light and fluffy, lovey-dovey ones. I haven't heard anybody on BookTube or even really on Instagram talking about this book at all. So I don't really know too much about it. The last line of the description says, Harry's Trees is an uplifting story about the redeeming power of friendship and love and the magic to be found in life's most surprising adventures. I believe it's a man who works in the forest, but he has some things he needs to learn to let go of. I don't really know much more than that, but I am excited to give it a shot. And again, this is quite a chunker, so we'll see. We'll see if I get to it before it has to be returned. The final book that I have out from the library is Food Freedom Forever. This is kind of like what to do after Whole30, which I'm excited about because I did Whole30 in January, but really want to stay focused in February about eating healthy and as clean as possible. So I think this will be a good motivator to kind of keep up with it. I probably won't read this cover to cover, but pick out bits and pieces here and there and help hopefully stay motivated to be healthy. I just want to share, I do give myself monthly goals, not necessarily book related, so I'm putting them here at the end. I think I've decided to include those in my TBR videos in case anybody's interested. Since I didn't really make yearly goals, I do give myself monthly challenges. And in January, my main challenge was to do Whole30, and I also did a 30 days of yoga challenge, which I didn't quite make all 30 days, but I got pretty stinking close. In February, I am not going to be watching Netflix at all or playing any games on my phone. I'm just trying to drastically reduce screen time in the month of February, and hopefully that will allow me to read a lot of these books. My other goal for February is to do at least 3 workouts a week. I really need to get back into being more active. So whether that's going for a long walk or playing volleyball or going to the gym or doing a yoga video. Well, I don't want to count yoga because I want to have 3 sweats. I want to have 3 workouts that make me break out into a sweat. Those are the goals for the month of February. These are the books for the month of February. I am really excited about most of these and would love to hear from you. What is one book you are super excited about reading in the month of February? And just a reminder, I would love to have you join in with the Great Alone Read Along on Goodreads. So let's chat down in the comments below. I love chatting with you down there. Leave me any kind of comment you want to, and I'll chat with you. And I will be talking to you soon in another video. Bye.